As the demands of peacekeeping shift, so too must the United Nations' ability to support member states. But innovation cannot be driven by UN alone. It is through international cooperation with member states like Japan that we can shape the peacekeeping of tomorrow. In the spirit of Osaka Expo, where Japan is inviting the world to innovate, empower, connect, I believe we must similarly come together to reimagine the future of peacekeeping, one that saves lives, supports community, and sustains peace.
This is SPF World Views, and that was Atul Khare, UN Undersecretary General for Operational Support. In this episode, we're sharing a special rebroadcast of Mr. Khare's keynote speech given at a recent event at the Foundation. In his remarks, he reflects on the 10th anniversary of the UN Triangular Partnership Program, discusses Japan's contributions to these efforts, and looks to the future of peacekeeping in a rapidly changing world.
Your Excellency, Mr. Fuji Hisayuki, State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Your Excellency, Ambassador Kanehara Nobukatsu, Executive Director of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, konnichiwa. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude to the Sasakawa Peace Foundation for convening this symposium. For many years, this institution has served as a bridge between academic, policy, and diplomatic communities, advancing Japan's global thought relationship on international peace and security. It is a special pleasure to speak with you today and reflect on Japan's long-standing commitment to the United Nations and to peace operations, and especially on the past decade of partnership in capacity building and training. Japan, as you just heard, is the third largest financial contributor to the United Nations, including to peacekeeping and special political missions. It is also the largest voluntary donor to my department, the Department of Operational Support. So thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. These contributions in both resources and in principle have made Japan an indispensable partner of the United Nations. The year 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. As we look back on 8 decades of multilateral engagement, this is also an opportunity to look ahead, to ask how we can strengthen the institutions of peace, adapt our tools to current geopolitical environment, and build resilient partnerships for the future. The maintenance of international peace and security as enshrined in the United Nations Charter remains our shared mandate. But it is not the UN Secretariat alone that bears this responsibility. It also belongs to other bodies of the organization like the Security Council, to the member states of the United Nations and their permanent missions in New York, to policymakers in national capitals, and to academic institutions and think tanks like Sasakawa, which shape the ideas and networks through which global cooperation takes form. Multilateralism must be continually renewed through adaptation, innovation, and principled commitment. Since the founding of the United Nations in 1945, peace operations have stood as one of its most visible and vital interventions. While principles that underpin them remain constant, namely the pursuit of peace, the protection of civilians, and support for political solutions, the world around us has changed dramatically. Today, we are seeing the increasingly fraught, challenging use of emerging technologies, the rise of powerful non-state armed groups, and the proliferation of hate speech and misinformation. Peacekeepers are facing asymmetric threats, including the use of improvised explosive devices that place their lives and those of civilians at even greater risk. And in many settings, we are witnessing a dangerous erosion of consensus around the use of multilateral tools to resolve conflict. These dynamics not only endanger human life and destabilize entire regions, but also generate ripple effects across the globe. For Japan, which relies on the Middle East for over 90% of its crude oil, such instability is a reminder that conflicts far beyond one's borders can have immediate and direct implications at home. These crises reveal a deeper reality. In today's interconnected world, no country can remain unaffected. They also reaffirm the urgent need for effective, credible multilateral action and for sustained investment in partnerships that can meet the complexity of our current peace and security challenges. And yet, amidst these mounting global challenges, there are stories of resilience and recovery that reaffirm what UN peacekeeping, when properly supported and resourced, can achieve. Over the past 7 decades, peace operations have shepherded political transitions, protected civilians, strengthened national institutions, and laid the groundwork for recovery and development. More than 100,000 military and police and civilian personnel from 119 countries currently serve in 11 peacekeeping missions under the UN flag. Together, they provide a vital anchor of security in some of the world's most volatile environments. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of peacekeeping's impact lies in places we no longer read about in the headlines. Countries that were once associated with war, unrest, and humanitarian crisis, and that have transitioned towards stability, democracy, and development. Their absence from the news cycles in many ways is the quiet success story of UN peacekeeping. Take Timor-Leste, for example, where I had the honor of serving as the special representative of the Secretary General and head of UNMIT. The United Nations was mandated to support the government in consolidating stability, enhancing democratic governance, and facilitating political dialogue. Our efforts included supporting elections, building governance and security capacity, advancing human rights, and completing investigations into past violations. The peaceful presidential and parliamentary elections of 2007 and 2012, conducted with UN support, were a testament not only to the resilience of the Timorese people, but also to what coordinated international assistance can achieve. This success was made possible through the unified support of the Security Council and the contributions of member states, particularly Japan. Japan played a vital role in Timor-Leste's peace and recovery. Engineers from Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force rebuilt critical infrastructure, roads and bridges, is still referred to today as Japanese roads and Japanese bridges. My predecessor, Mr. Sukihiro Hasegawa, and many Japanese UN officials, ambassadors, experts, and diplomats, such as my friend Iwao Kitahara, who is here with us today, also contributed to institution building, education, and police reform, leaving behind a legacy that extended well beyond the duration of the mission. Indeed, what follows after a mission ends goes largely unnoticed, though it may be the most important outcome. Since the closure of UNMIT in 2012, Timor-Leste has continued to hold peaceful national and presidential elections in 2017, 2018, 2022, and 2023 without the presence of a UN mission. This is the long arc of peacekeeping, not just the moment of intervention, but the enduring transformation that follows. Cambodia offers another powerful example. Following years of devastating conflict, the UN Transitional Authority in Cambodia, UNTAC, was deployed to help restore peace, supervise free elections, and establish administrative structures for national stability. Like in Timor-Leste, this was achieved with Japan's support. Japanese peacekeepers served as military engineers, electoral observers, and civilian police officers. They did so under the capable leadership of Mr. Yasushi Akashi, the then chief of mission of UNTAC, who I consider my own sensei in peacekeeping. Today, Cambodia no longer hosts peacekeepers. It contributes them, including through the UN Secretariat's largest uniformed peacekeeping capacity development and operational support initiative, the Triangular Partnership Program. Finally, in Namibia, the United Nations Transitional Assistance Group, UNTAG, supported the country's path to independence, overseeing free and fair elections in 1989 and supporting the creation of a new national government. Namibia had been a particular concern of the United Nations since its earlier days in 1946, following a long and difficult history of colonial rule under Germany and South Africa. With support of UNTAG, Namibia achieved a peaceful transition to independence in March 1990. Today, Namibia is not only a stable democracy but also an active UN member. In September 2024, it co-facilitated the drafting of the Pact of the Future with Germany, the former colonial power, an illustration that peacekeeping is not just a response to crisis, but a foundation for meaningful international cooperation. What then can we take away from these three peacekeeping mission examples? First, peacekeeping must not be seen as a standalone intervention. Peace operations are among the United Nations' most time-tested tools that contribute to the UN's effectiveness. They go beyond troop deployment. They build the institutional and social foundations that enable peace to take root long after the mission has concluded. As Namibia's experience reminds us, this kind of transformation requires time, commitment, and patience. It's the reason peacekeeping success should be assessed in the long term. Second, peacekeeping is made possible by member states and sustained through partnerships. Multilateral cooperation is not just a feature of UN peacekeeping, it is its backbone. These partnerships foster mutual learning, strengthen capacities, and ensure that countries move forward together, leaving no one behind. Among the member states that have helped advance peacekeeping over the years, Japan stands out as a model of active engagement and long-term commitment. Since the enactment of its International Peace Cooperation Law and its first deployment to UN peacekeeping in 1992, Japan has consistently translated policy into practice, upholding the highest standards of conduct and professionalism. In over 3 decades of participation, Japanese peacekeepers have maintained a remarkable record of zero misconduct, including 0 cases of sexual exploitation and abuse, a standard that reflects Japan's ethical approach to international engagement. Thank you again. Japanese military officers serve with distinction in United Nations mission in South Sudan, UNMISS, contributing to efforts to support the peace process, protect civilians, facilitate humanitarian assistance, and report on human rights violations. At UN headquarters in New York, Japanese officers also serve in a variety of functions, including in the Department of Peace Operations, which manages and directs peacekeeping missions, in the Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, responsible for monitoring political developments and overseeing special political missions, and in my own department, where we work to ensure that peacekeepers around the world are properly deployed, properly equipped, properly sustained. We provide the rations, fuel, accommodations, technology, and medical support necessary to deliver on their mandates. In all this, Japan's contributions have been indispensable. Over the past decade, Japan has also been the driving force behind one of the UN's Secretariat's most impactful capacity building initiatives, the Triangular Partnership Program, or the TPP. Launched following Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's pledge at the 2014 UN Leaders Summit on Peacekeeping, the TPP originally focused, as you heard, on heavy engineering training in East Africa. It has since expanded to include not just engineering, but also medical, the C4ISR, or what we call command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and camp security technologies training, as well as telemedicine support, all delivered globally. Crucially, the program has not stood still. It has continually evolved to meet new peacekeeping needs, including through training on counter-improvised explosive devices and environmental management. It has also built a strong training of trainers culture, ensuring that its materials can be adapted and expanded by member states to meet their own national needs. In just 10 years, including 2 years of the coronavirus pandemic, Japan's contributions through the TPP have helped train 30,000 individuals deployed to United Nations and African Union peace operations. The program received the Secretary General's Award for Innovation for its telemedicine project, which enhances access to medical care in high-risk remote areas. And it continues to thrive thanks to Japan's expert contributions, particularly through Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force, whose personnel support both course delivery and program operations. The impact of this training is measurable. In 2018, Vietnam became the first Southeast Asian country to host the TPP engineering training courses. Soon thereafter, it deployed an engineering unit of 10 TPP-trained personnel to UN mission in ABA, its first engineering contingent in any peacekeeping operation. I had an opportunity to visit UNISFA, where the Vietnamese contingent was deployed in 2023, and meet with the Vietnamese contingent. I was deeply impressed by their preparedness and pleased to hear reports that their performance had improved even further following the TPP training. This is the lasting value of TPP. While many training programs report on immediate output, such as the number of courses delivered or the individuals trained, the TPP is increasingly focusing on long-term impact. We are expanding our efforts to follow up with the trainees, troop contributing countries, and field missions who receive our graduates to better understand the long-term effects and benefits of TPP training. You will hear more about this from Mr. Ito shortly during the second part, led by Director General Morikawa, but I wanted to personally share the Vietnam example because it illustrates the tangible value of Triangular Partnership Program, an initiative made possible thanks to Japan's steadfast support and leadership in peacekeeping. Excellencies, distinguished guests, experiences like these show us what is possible when peacekeeping is not static. It evolves and must continue to evolve to remain effective in a rapidly changing world. They also prompt a larger question. How do we take these lessons forward? Just over a month ago, the United Nations, member states, and peacekeeping partners gathered in Berlin for the 2025 Peacekeeping Ministerial. It was a pivotal movement for reaffirming collective support for peace operations as a cornerstone of multilateralism. More than 1,000 participants from 135 member states and 11 regional and international organizations came together to commit to a stronger, more agile, and responsive peacekeeping system. Japan, which co-chaired the preparatory meeting in Montevideo, played a leading role. Represented in Berlin by our own State Minister present here today for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Fuji, Japan joined other member states in pledging concrete support across 4 key areas. Firstly, uniform capabilities. Secondly, training, capacity building and partnerships. Third, safety and security of peacekeepers. And finally, technology. These pledges form the building blocks for a more resilient, innovative, inclusive, and impactful peacekeeping system. But they also must be backed by sustained financing. The question then will become how to translate these ambitious goals into tangible outcomes on the ground. The answer lies in partnerships and effective capacity building. Japan's leadership continues to stand out in this regard. Through initiatives like the TPP, which I discussed earlier, Japan has helped foster a dynamic system for training and operational preparedness. We are pleased that Japan renewed its support to TPP in Berlin, helping ensure its continued expansion and evolution in response to new peacekeeping challenges. Peacekeeper safety and security remain central to our agenda. Alongside the TPP, we also work through the UN Mine Action Service and the Division of Healthcare Management and Occupational Safety and Health of my department to support peacekeepers before and during deployment to protect their physical and mental well-being. This includes the rollout of basic and advanced first aid training to troop and police contributing countries, the implementation of quality healthcare standards, and the development of new materials for our field medical assistance course. The impact is notable. Last October, one course graduate saved the life of a fellow peacekeeper who had been shot by Al-Shabaab in Somalia. This is one among countless examples of how training investments have a direct impact on the safety of peacekeepers on the ground. We also continue to upgrade our Level 1 and Level 2 hospitals and high-risk missions and improve the medical rescue chain through innovative solutions such as telemedicine. These efforts demonstrate a broader point. As the demands of peacekeeping shift, so too must the United Nations' ability to support member states. But innovation cannot be driven by UN alone. It is through international cooperation with member states like Japan that we can shape the peacekeeping of tomorrow. In the spirit of Osaka Expo, where Japan is inviting the world to innovate, empower, connect, I believe we must similarly come together to reimagine the future of peacekeeping, one that saves lives, supports community, and sustains peace. On this note, let me conclude by reflecting on the long-standing partnership between Japan and the United Nations, a partnership that has endured over 7 decades. In the past 10 years, this collaboration has taken on new forms such as the TPP. These types of partnerships demonstrate that dialogue and trust lead to real, measurable impact. Today, more than ever, these partnerships must be protected, strengthened, and expanded. The United Nations' upcoming 80th anniversary and the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the TPP offer a moment for reflection, a chance to renew and revitalize peacekeeping, and to recommit to the UN Charter's principles of peace, security, development, rule of law, and respect for human rights. None of this can be achieved alone. It must be done in concert with the member states and the communities that we serve. I therefore wish to thank the people and government of Japan for their enduring contributions to the cause of international peace and security, and to thank you all for the honor of addressing you today. Arigatou gozaimasu.
海事務次長、ありがとうございました。